Howdy, everybody. Welcome to Freedom's Ham Shack. We are doing a live stream today, recording for This Week in Amateur Radio, episode 1376. It's a lot of episodes. Man, I remember when it was just starting out. But anyway, welcome to the stream. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead. I got everything set up, ready to roll. We're going to go ahead and get started here. And I'm going to go ahead. Let me see here. I'm going to bring up the news stories here so I can see them. We got 3 news stories today. And we're going to go ahead and get things rolling with the intro. I'm back on my Mac. I'm not on the Linux box over in the other studio. Need to show the Mac some love. I'm probably also going to think about doing a SSD upgrade to the Mac here. It's an older Mac. It's like 15 years old almost. And it's still running. It still runs good. It's slow, but... All right. Oops, didn't want to do that. All right, let's get started. And reporting from our news bureau just outside Albany, New York, in the Geek Cave studios, I'm Rich Lawrence, KB2MOB. All right, and we'll just boop. I'm not going to do too much to this here. I'm going to let George handle all that this time around. Just give it a listen, though. And reporting from our news bureau just outside Albany, New York. Yeah, this sounds so much better than over in the other studio because I've got the whole audio chain here. I've got my compressor and gate and everything all set up over here. If I could have all of that over there, that'd be great. Or I'm actually thinking of more moving everything over to here, just redoing this studio. This is version 2 of my studio. Thinking maybe I do a version 3 and just do it over here. Because it seems like it would be a whole lot easier, but I got to I got to clean up stuff and I've got to move stuff around. It would be a big project. Let's just put it that way. All right. So we're going to save this as. No. Let's browse here. I don't know where it's got to go. And I don't even have the second, because I moved my pen monitor over to the Linux box so I could do drawing over there. But I also need to get rid of. I need to fix stuff up. Things have been just kind of, going wonky. All right, come on, go into the This Week in Amateur Radio. Yeah, come on. Is it not wanting to go? Or I just choose that one. All right, we'll just do it that way. Okay, it's all set there. Go. Awesome. File new audio file. And this one is going to be story 1. I've got 3 stories today. Anybody in the chat? Let me set up the chat here so I can see the chat. Oh no, what did the FCC do? I don't know, Justin. What did they do? I don't think they did anything. Thanks for dropping in, though. Appreciate that. Okay, we're going to record here, story 1. And this is a cold read, too, so. The Federal Communications Commission announced plans this month to vote on a new fast-track procedure aimed at removing outdated regulations more efficiently without the need for the traditional public notice and comment process. In a draft rule released on Thursday, the FCC proposes eliminating the initial set of 18 obsolete regulations. The agency also seeks to empower FCC staff with deregulated authority to use this streamlined direct final rule process in the future, provided actions comply with the Administrative Procedures Act. I said deregulated, and it's supposed to be delegated. Mother puss bucket. All right, here we go. But there's your answer, Justin. That's what the FCC is doing. I don't know if I'm a fan of that. I mean, I get wanting to streamline the procedure, but the Administrative Procedures Act, ATF, just used that thing to all hell and back, and it took Trump getting reelected and Bondi and everything else. I don't know. I just don't. The thing is, I don't want to see the amateur radio spectrum just carved up because they think it's a, you know, in the 21st century it's of no use. Yet here we are. Nobody's still been able to beat, you know, a radio signal. Well, you got all these mesh networks. There's problems even with the mesh network with Meshtastic and everything, and I'm going to talk about that in a future video because I mean, other people I'm sure have seen it, but there's some issues. There's some issues. Bandwidth for citizens. Well, I mean, there's still you've got a ton of bandwidth that you can technically use. There's Part 15, so you could always do the Part 15 stuff, which gives you 2.4 gigahertz. It gives you the you know, the band where Meshtastic is. You've got 49 megahertz that you can use. And then anything else, basically, yeah, you could do Part 15. It just means Part 15 basically just means you can use it, but you can't cause interference to the primary and secondaries that have access to the band. Now, with the 2.4 gigahertz band where Wi-Fi sits, the upper channels, I can use Meshtastic and Bitch need to work together. Yeah, maybe they do. But I mean, going back to the bandwidth thing, the citizens bandwidth thing with the Part 15, yeah, you can't cause interference to the primary and secondary. And like I was saying, the 2.4 gigahertz band, where Wi-Fi sits, the upper channels, ham radio operators have primary access to. So I could technically set up a 2.4 gigahertz antenna and put out full my legally full power, which is, you know, what is it now? Did they change it? I don't think so. I think it's still 1500 watts. So if I wanted to set up a site to site microwave for ham radio and a bird crosses the path, I could cook it if it's close enough to one of the antennas. If you think about it. But yeah, there's tons of bandwidth available for citizens. And then of course, if you get your ham license, you can do some you can experiment on ham bands. There's rules that you got to follow for that, but that's perfectly fine too. You could create a brand new mode of communication if you want. Chicken, yeah. Lava chicken lava. BitChat. That thing. Congratulations, Jack. You've discovered Meshtastic with Bluetooth. Good for you. It's yeah. I don't know. I don't know what as far as I can tell, there's nothing really different about BitChat or whatever, or Bitch or whatever you want to call it. I don't really see anything different about it compared to Meshtastic. Okay, so it uses your phone's Bluetooth. Big deal. Your Bluetooth is still, the range on it is still shorter in comparison to what the frequencies Meshtastic has. And Meshtastic is still very much in its infancy compared to APRS, which is basically the same thing. Yeah, Meshtastic is low bandwidth. Yeah, it is. Because it has to be by FCC rules. But the trick is, yeah, and Bluetooth is very low range, whereas the Meshtastic frequencies in the 900 megahertz is more line of sight, and therefore it will go farther compared to what Bluetooth will go. Because Bluetooth is also low power, but the physics of the 900 megahertz range where Meshtastic is much better compared to where the physics of Bluetooth signals are, which I think are somewhere in I can't remember. Where is Bluetooth anyway? I can't even remember where Bluetooth is. Because it's a higher it's in a VHF UHF. Bluetooth is not as well. Let me see. What's the frequency for Bluetooth? Let's look it up. What is the frequency for Bluetooth? Let's see what DuckDuckGo says. Or operates between 2.4, 2.48, 2.4 flat, and 2.4835 gigahertz, including guard bands. Okay, so Bluetooth is in the same frequency range as your Wi-Fi. Okay. So basically, you're going to go farther with Meshtastic because it's VHF, whereas Bluetooth is microwave. So that 2.4 gigahertz, that's telling you that's a very short wave, very short. So and we all know that Wi-Fi has a tough time going through concrete and even drywall and a lot of other things, whereas Meshtastic is on and I know this is not going to make sense, a lower frequency. It's in the 900 megahertz range. So the length of the wave is longer. So it's going to be easier to penetrate those kinds of things. It's still going to it's still going to run into issues with concrete and drywall and all that, because you're not going to have that issue when you get up into the VHF and low frequency, the worldwide frequencies, that kind of stuff, because those waves are a lot longer, like 2 meters, 140 megahertz. That band, that wave is about 20 inches long. Quit smiling, ladies. 20 inches long. So it's going to be able to go through easier. That's why I can use my handheld HT in the house to talk to somebody on a repeater just up the river in Troy, New York. Whereas with my Meshtastic, it's going to be a little bit harder because of the line of sight with trees and all that kind of stuff. And even harder with Wi-Fi. That's why my Wi-Fi doesn't reach all the way into my backyard unless I have another repeater set up in the kitchen, which is what I have. I have a mesh Wi-Fi network, and you got to have a lot of nodes in order to spread that out, which is one of the things with Meshtastic is if you don't have a lot of nodes around you, you're pretty much just yelling into the void. Need to be able to send pictures and short videos on Meshtastic. You'd have to heavily compress them. Hey, George, how's it going? Yeah, you'd have to heavily compress them for sure. To get pictures and video. I actually have a book. Yeah, too many nodes, too many problems, because people are not reading they're not RTFM. They're not looking at what they should be setting up based on what they see in their area, because they're all setting them up as nodes and then they're all repeating, and then it's just clogging up the local bandwidth, where you got to have some people that are set up as repeaters, some people that are set up as nodes. And nobody's reading the fucking manual for Meshtastic, So there's nobody really around me. So my node, I've only got the one node because I'm just kind of playing around with it, and I've pretty much done everything I can do with it right now without getting a second node. Is set as just a regular node. So the next one I get, I could set it up as a regular node. But then I want to, as I add more or other people come online, we're going to have to coordinate, kind of like what repeaters do. We have to go, and figure out who's going to be what, who's going to be a repeater, who's going to be a node, who's going to do this, who's going to do that kind of thing. So there's still some coordination. And that's one of the things with Meshtastic is that's still kind of in its infancy. Whereas with APRS, on ham bands, we're using a lower frequency up in the 2 meter band, so we're going to get more range compared to Meshtastic. Yeah, Meshtastic is going to be lower power. Wonderful, but I mean, I can run milliwatts on 2 meters as well, and probably get a little bit farther than whatever Meshtastic could because of the physics of the wave itself. Um, ooh, you got a DMR HT. Oh yeah. Well, I actually, George, I actually dug out my TY. I have a TYT DMR radio that I got from Matt. I can't remember Matt's call sign. Damn it. I can't remember his call sign. But he gave it to me because he didn't want it. And I threw it on the charger, but for whatever reason, the battery's not charging. So I may have a bum battery. So I may have to buy a new battery for it. But yeah, I wanted to start playing with it because I wanted to try DMR Simplex. Now that you've got a DMR radio, it'd be nice to try DMR Simplex and see what we can do. Let me know when you get a chance. Send me some info on your radio. I'd love to know more. But maybe I might actually spend a little money after I got some other stuff that I'm taking care of. But we'll talk about that. But anyway, let me get back to this because I'm trying to record for you, George, and I want to get this in here. All right, here we go. The Federal Communications Commission announced plans this month to vote on a new fast-track procedure aimed at removing outdated regulations more efficiently without the need for the traditional public notice and comment process. In a draft rule released on Thursday, the FCC proposes eliminating an initial set of 18 obsolete regulations. The agency also seeks to empower FCC staff with delegated authority to use this streamlined direct final rule process in the future, provided actions comply with the Administrative Procedures Act. This direct final rule approach allows the FCC to act swiftly in repealing regulations that no longer serve the public interest, bypassing the usual lengthy rulemaking procedures. Citing a 2001 D.C. Circuit decision, Utility Solid Waste Activities Group versus the EPA, the FCC emphasizes its authority to remove rules that are impractical, unnecessary, or contrary to the public interest without prior notice and comment when such rules have minimal impact on industry and the public. FCC Chair Brendan Carr, who launched the Delete, Delete, Delete initiative earlier this year, is leading the effort to simplify the removal of outdated regulations. The proposed repeal mainly targets legacy regulations governing common carriers, including several cable rate rules that the FCC describes as obsolete due to technological advancements and changing marketplace conditions. The provisions set for repeal plainly do not serve the public interest any longer because they govern obsolete technology, outdated marketplace conditions, expired deadlines, or repealed legal obligations, the FCC stated in an accompanying fact sheet. If approved, the new rule would automatically repeal identified regulations absent any significant adverse comments, while still providing an opportunity for public input on the agency's assessment. Additionally, the proposal clarifies that FCC bureaus and offices can utilize this fast-track procedure in other cases where prior notice and comment are deemed unnecessary, allowing for efficient regulatory updates with requiring a full commission vote. The FCC underscores its commitment to proceed with transparency and at the full commission level for the initial set of repeals planned for July, reflecting a history of eliminating outdated or unwanted regulations. The FCC is currently controlled by a narrow Republican majority with a one-vote margin following Commissioner Olivia Trustee's recent appointment. Representatives for Democratic Commissioner Anna Gomez were unavailable for comment. Okay, so got to clean that up there. Meshtastic needs a second band just for building the network topology. Well, I mean, they could go to another channel. They got that whole. They're using, what are they using? Scientific and industrial, something like that. They could build there unless they want to go to a back. Are you talking like a back end? Is that what you're looking at, a back end kind of thing? Kind of Packet has that on different frequencies. They do the back end stuff on 440 megahertz. So yeah, they might have to do that, but I mean, the thing, they'd have to do it in a band where they don't need a where the user doesn't need a license. That's going to be the trick. They're going to have to find another band like the Scientific and Industrial Band where Meshtastic is hanging out now. Radtel 4D. Everybody's buying the Radtels. They're the new hotness, George. They're the new hotness. So I guess, George, if you're still there, can you tell me how much you paid for that one? I'm kind of interested. And let me know where you got it from. Did you get it like on Amazon or DX Engineering, or where'd you grab it from? Because, yeah, if I can't find a battery for my DMR, I may end up just kind of getting a new radio. So we'll see. But all right, let me edit this and clean this up here for you, George. Get this up to you. And changing marketplace conditions. The provisions set for repeal plainly do not serve the public interest any longer because they govern obsolete technology, outdated marketplace conditions, expired deadlines, or repealed legal obligations, the FCC stated in an accompanying fact sheet. Okay. So it was after this, I believe, I started getting tongue-tied. If approved, the new rule would automatically repeal with requiring a full commission vote. The FCC underscores its boom. The FCC underscores its commitment. All right, let me see how it's requiring a full commission vote. Too long. The FCC requiring a full commission vote. The FCC underscores its commitment to proceed with transparency and at the full commission level for the initial set of repeals planned for July, reflecting a history of eliminating outdated or unwanted. Reflecting a history. Go here. And for July, reflecting a. All right, let me take that breath out too. Why not? Right? Set of repeals planned for July, reflecting a history of eliminating outdated or unwarranted regulation. Ooh, $50. Oh, that must have been like one of the Prime Day deals. What is it normally without the sale? The FCC is currently. I need a new DMR radio for my kit. Actually, I just want a new radio. You know how it goes, George. The FCC is. You know how it is. It's currently controlled by a narrow Republican. Were unavailable for comment. Okay. All right, let me double check this one here. FCC stated in an accompanying fact sheet. All right, it's a little too long. Ooh. Oh. Our FCC staff. Okay, so that's that. That's it. All right. Boop, boop, boop. George, I haven't been doing any. Hope you don't mind. I haven't been doing any kind of processing on it. I'm just throwing it up raw for you. I'm raw dogging it. Dropbox. Boom. Boom. There we go. I'm raw dogging it, yo. All right. That's story 1. Off to story 3. Oh, I forgot to make it bigger so I can read it. Okay. New audio file. And this is 3. There we go. Okay. Radtel 900. Does Radtel make mobiles? Not just HTs, but do they do mobiles as well that we could use as in the house? I would love that. Okay, yeah, I'll give you a call after I'm done. I got a few. I might give you a call from the car because I have some errands I got to run. Plus, I got to go outside. I got to cut up a tree that we took down. So, all right, let me get this. 2025 Moon Day Space Theme Public STEM event take place Saturday. Frontiers of Flight Museum at Love Field in Dallas. held each year. Date of the Apollo 11 moon landing. Colonel Carl Walls deliver keynote address, encourages attendees to participate involving science, technology, engineering, mathematics. AMSAT. Thomas Schussler and 5HYP. Okay. All right. The 2025 Moon Day, a space-themed public STEM event, will take place on Saturday, July 19th at the Frontiers of Flight Museum at Love Field in Dallas. Held each year close to the date of the Apollo 11 moon landing, the event features hands-on science exhibits and activities. Okay, I'm going to do that again. That just sucked. The 2025 Moon Day, a space-themed public STEM event, will take place on Saturday, July 19th at the Frontiers of Flight Museum at Love Field in Dallas. Held each year close to the date of the Apollo 11 moon landing, the event features hands-on science exhibits and activities for all ages. Moon Day runs from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time, with setup beginning at 8 a.m. Central Daylight. Retired Colonel Carl Walls, formerly KC-5TIE, will deliver the keynote address at the Dallas Frontiers of Flight Museum during Moon Day, which celebrates space exploration and encourages attendees to participate in activities involving science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Moon Day is taking place July 19th, a date close to the July 24th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969. The Ohio native, a former ISS astronaut, spent more than 18 hours conducting spacewalks to evaluate tools for the refurbishment of the Hubble Space Telescope. AMSAT will once again be represented at the event by AMSAT Ambassador Thomas Schussler, N5HYP, along with several North Texas satellite enthusiasts. They will engage with the public, including many young people, on topics such as satellite orbits, the International Space Station, and amateur radio in space. Exhibits will include the AMSAT Fox CubeSat engineering model and the CubeSat simulator, and the team hopes to demonstrate a few live satellite passes during the day. Tom is seeking additional AMSAT volunteers from the North Texas area to help staff the exhibit table. The AMSAT booth will be located next to the Dallas Amateur Radio Club exhibit, providing opportunities for great conversations with fellow hams, as well as curious families. Volunteers receive free museum admission and lunch. Anyone interested in helping for part of the entire day? Anyone interested in helping for part or the entire day is encouraged to email Tom at n5hyp@arrl.net. More information about the event is available on the web at flightmuseum.com/events/moonday. It's a lot of slashes, dude. Okay. All right. Let's see. I made some boo-boos, so we got to fix the boo-boos during the day. Tom is seeking additional AMSAT volunteers for... Yep, there we go. Boom. Oh, wait a minute. That's a little too long. Take that in. Let's see here. Tom is seeking additional AMSAT volunteers from the North Texas area to help staff the exhibit. Almost lost it there. I caught myself. They had us in the first inning, but I recovered. All right. Area to help staff the exhibit table. Ooh, that's still a little. We'll get it. To help staff the exhibit table. That sounds a little bit better. The AMSAT staff the exhibit table. The AMSAT booth will be located next to the Dallas Amateur Radio Club exhibit, providing opportunities for great conversations with fellow hams, as well as curious families. Volunteers receive free museum admission and lunch. Anyone interested in helping for part of the entire day? For part of the entire day? Anyone interested? Yeah, that's where I goofed. Anyone interested? Right there. That's right, goof. And lunch. Anyone interested in helping for part or the entire day is encouraged to email Tom at Yep. I was right there. And, yep. You should email Tom at n5hyp@arrl.net. More information about the event is available on the web at. Okay, so we got that. Okay, file, save as. Hey, look at that. We got some. Okay, save. All right, that's 2 stories down. That's fun. Next. Okay. And what is Mexico bitching about today? This is story 7. Okay. Or debris from recent SpaceX rocket explosion near the U.S.-Mexico border. Said the government is investigating potential violations of international law due to environmental contamination. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. All right, here we go. Mexico. Yeah, that was quick. Yeah. Mexico's president has threatened legal action over debris from a recent SpaceX rocket explosion near the U.S.-Mexico border. President Sheinbaum said the government is investigating potential violations of international law due to environmental contamination. The explosion occurred during a ground test for SpaceX Starship at its Starbase facility in Texas, sending a large fireball into the sky. Mexican officials are now conducting a comprehensive environmental review focused on the nearby state of Tamaulipas. This comes after the United States Federal Aviation Administration approved an increase in annual Starship launches from 5 to 25, despite warnings from conservation groups about threats to wildlife. President Sheinbaum emphasizes that any resulting lawsuit would be based on scientific findings and legal analysis. If filed, the lawsuit would follow another recent case in which Mexico sued Google over the labeling of the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America for users in the United States. This change is seen by Mexico as a violation of its sovereignty and a distortion of geographical naming conventions. Sorry, not sorry? I don't know. Whatever. I really don't have much sympathy for Mexico after they tried to go after Smith & Wesson and all the other gun manufacturers. Environmental contamination. The explosion occurred during a ground test for SpaceX due to environment. So yeah, they've seemed to gone to the we're going to sue you Mexico border. So whatever. Law due to environmental contamination. The explosion occurred during a ground test for SpaceX Starship at its Starbase facility in Texas, sending a large fireball into the sky. Mexican officials are now conducting a comprehensive environmental review focused on the nearby state of. Yeah, I have zero clue how to pronounce that, so I winged it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Somebody will call me. Probably a Mexican amateur radio operator that'll call me. Hey, you didn't pronounce that right. Okay, tell me how to pronounce it, and I'll do it right next time. Of Tamaulipas. Sounded good, right? I don't know. At this point, I really don't. This comes after the United States Federal Aviation Administration approved an increase in annual Starship launches from 5 to 25, despite warnings from. Yeah. As I get older, the less F's I have to give. 25. Despite warnings from conservation groups about threats to wildlife. President Sheinbaum emphasizes that any resulting lawsuit would be based on scientific findings and legal analysis. If filed, the lawsuit would follow. And legal analysis. If filed, the lawsuit would follow another recent case in which Mexico sued Google over the labeling of the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America for users in the United States. This change is seen by Mexico as a violation of its sovereignty and a distortion of geographical naming conventions. Oh dear. I don't care. The United States. This change is seen by Mexico as a violation of its sovereignty and a distortion of geographical naming conventions. So, okay, big deal. Don't really give a hang, but it still comes up as Gulf of Mexico to Mexican users of Google. If a bear didn't shit in the woods, did it really actually live? I don't know. Okay, so that's my last story there. Save as. So it's usually at this point, if anybody's in chat, if they need something done for voiceover, for if you have a stream or you have a project or anything like that, I usually say, I'm available. It's free. I'll do it for you. So if you do have a voiceover thing, you can go ahead and let me know, or you can even email me, thefreedomotter@gmail.com. I'll be happy to talk to you about doing something, whether it's free or if it's more involved. We'll come up with something. So just let me know. All right, I'm going to stick around for just a couple more minutes here and see if anybody's got something, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, anybody kind of curious what everybody else is doing now? I got some errands I got to go run. Got some stuff coming, and from Prime Day, and I got to get some parts and whatnot, and I got to take a tree off. Oh yeah, and I got to call George too. So, but if anybody needs anything, let me know. Just email me, or you can, drop it in the comments below. I'll get a hold of you. Let me know how to get a hold of you, and we'll go from there. All right. Okay. Do 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 do. All right. Let's see here. Let's do this. Studio banners. Kaboom. Look at that. Look at that. I still got the Commodore 128 right over here that I want to get going again. Well, I mean, it technically is going. I just haven't turned it on recently. So I gotta do that. I gotta update the wireless modem on it. I've got a wireless modem on it. I think there's Bo Zimmerman, who does the firmware for that. I think he's still having an issue with the incoming stuff for Wi-Fi. So I like to get that. Once that's done, I'm going to run a BBS on it. So I'll probably what the hell did I get in my mouth? A piece of hair in my mouth. Probably get rid of my the one that's running on my Raspberry Pi right now. But that's a whole nother thing. All right. Let me check email here. Let me see if anybody is Oh wait, I'm in the wrong one. I gotta go to another one. Yeah, skip. I don't need to set a home address on that. Okay. Oh wow. I get a ton of how do I get all these? All right, well, I'm gonna do this. Yep. Promotions, social. There we go. So if anybody needs any voiceover stuff, you can always get a hold of me over at thefreedomotter@gmail.com. Happy to do stuff for you. And also I've got, I get on here and I record for This Week in Amateur Radio every now and again. It's been a while since I've actually done any like chasing any DX or anything like that live. I should get set up for that so I can do that. Make some ham radio calls, we follow DX Heat and see if we can see what we can work. I have to go from there. So, yeah. But again, anybody that wants to need some voiceover stuff done, let me know. Happy to do it. thefreedomotter@gmail.com. All right, I'm going to close all this up here, clean this up. And then I'm going to call it for the stream because I got some stuff I got to do. So we'll go from there. Thanks to everybody that stopped into the stream. Really do appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we will catch you next time.